What, guys? I see. Hold on, let me the volume here. Oh, all right. There we go. Sorry about that. So what's up? I see Ralph's here and John. How are you guys doing? Figured I'd jump in here on another Sunday and hang out with you guys a bit. I'm gonna try to do this every Sunday, sometimes maybe Saturday, just depends on what's going on, but try to do it at least once a weekend. Let's see, it's a little too bright. But anyway, yeah. So what is up? I see Boog. I see uh just just another shadow. Joe Begret, Terry. How are you guys all doing today? Got my rock star. So, did you guys watch my video on Friday and did you guys like it? Unfortunately, YouTube is not sharing it with very many people. So, hopefully, you guys saw it and have been able to check it out. It's frustrating, I swear. The videos that I work the hardest on, that I'm the most proud of and put the most into, never seem to be the ones that do the best. Like, I don't know why that is exactly, but it's just the case. That's weird. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm trying some new graphics on the screen, and so I don't know if they're messing with stuff or not. Yeah, I know the screen went black for a second, so I'm not sure like what that meant. I think it's fine though, but there's like a delay, which is bugging me. Does my audio? It's echoey. Okay. How about now? Is it still echoey? Is the volume match my? It's like there's two of me, and it's driving me crazy. Oh, I know what's going on. Okay, I know what's going on. I have multiple browsers open on accident. Didn't realize. Is it still sounding weird? Or I'm upside down? All right, hold on, hold on. Let me get this. Let me get this sorted. All right. Now, how about now? Now is it correct? Question. Co-Spire or GP, are you gonna hang that dong today? I don't know when I ever promised that I was gonna hang dong. I'm definitely not gonna do that today. All right. So does it sound normal? Does it look normal? Sound normal? All that? Yeah, it was open in two browsers somehow, and like I think I got the other one closed. I don't know what exactly I did, and I don't know how exactly I fixed it, but I'm pretty sure I got it sorted. What's up, Vorpal? Let's see here. All right, cool. So Garminder, uh, Garminder, another Peter Pan says, "You're perfect." I don't know about that, but I'm glad you could see me again. Uh, Wolfbane says, "What's up, Ghost Pirate family?" This Q&A came out of nowhere. Pleasant surprise. I'm trying to do it every weekend. So this be something you guys can generally count on, probably on Sundays, but like sometimes I might have to do it on a Saturday or whatever, depending on what's going on. But I'm trying to raise money. That's why, as you see, I have my Venmo and PayPal on the screen because I'm trying to raise money to help get into a position so that I can go to a film festival this summer, later in the summer. I'm trying my best to go to um I just totally spaced on it. It's the one I've been wanting to go to every year for like the last 3-4 years, and it's just, I'll be able to get in as media without having to spend a bunch of money for like the entry, but I got to still have basically a week's worth of Airbnb money, um, transportation money and all of that. So, and I am barely surviving right now. The videos just, like the one Friday I was just talking about, completely tanked. I don't know why it tanked so bad, but it did. And, um, but yeah, so I'm just trying to get in a better position financially. So I'm hoping that you guys over the next couple months when I do these streams will be able to help support me some and make that happen. So any donations are hugely appreciated. I feel weird even asking or talking about that because that's just not my style, but I think it's something that I could make some cool content that you guys would be able to see as well. Because the one I'm wanting to go to is called Fantastic Fest, and it's the one that has all the new horror movies, the stuff that is looking for distribution and will generally come out later in the year or next year. So, um, yeah. You see, John Connor says, "Oh no, Ghost Pirate, you weren't upside down, love loud. When you said there are two of you, was thinking about an alt Kanan from the Upside Down." Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. Scott says that pop behind your shoulder with the sunglasses kind of looks like you. Yeah, it's meant to look like me. It's a pop of me that a fan of the channel had made for me. Vorpal says, "I'm watching The Wind and the Lion." Wasn't that like a drama? I think that was is that like, is that an A24 drama or something like that? Like it sounds familiar. All right. First question of the day from Wolfbane. How much is it to become a channel member? I think it's $3 a month or something like that. I don't know. I get $1 of it. I think it's like right around $3 a month, and then I get $1 of it. Um, I prefer Patreon, and Patreon, it's up to you. It's basically $1 or whatever your able to help out with. But I prefer Patreon. It's easier for me to communicate with the people on Patreon. It's also, I'm really trying to build that community over there because I want to get patrons involved more in different things I'm doing. Like I asked them for questions for this stream a couple days ago. And so I have a number of, actually, I need to bring those up. I have a number of questions that I'm going to get to that basically take priority. So, but if anybody else has any questions, if you do a super chat, I will definitely answer that first. That takes priority. Or if you're a Patreon member, there's a question near over there. Those are also priority. And then after that, just if you ask a question, make sure you write question in your comment, and I'll get to as many of those as I can as well. So let's look at my internet's not really working. I'm trying to bring up the patron questions because I want to get to those before. My internet is being a pain. Anyway, while that's happening, we have a question from Boog who says, question, when are you coming to WNC Asheville? I'm not sure what WNC is. I'm guessing that's a some type of festival or con or something like that. I would love to come anywhere and everywhere. It's just I can't afford to. That's been the goal of this channel since I started 5 years or almost 5 years or like 4.5 years ago. The goal was always to make enough money to be able to travel and go around the country to different festivals, film festivals mainly, but cons as well. Like, a dream would be to get to meet you guys at different cons or, different things like that. So, I mean, that's definitely my goal. I don't know why my internet is not working all of a sudden. Yeah, I'm really, really hoping that I'm able to get, like, I've been killing myself. I mean, I put out 2 videos last week, like, and they're just, of course, neither of them performed very well. I'm just like, nothing I can do right now is making the YouTube gods like me for whatever reason. I'm trying to bring up these. All right, here we go. So first question from Patreon members is from Steve Addison, who asked, what are your interests outside of movies? What other countries do you have on your bucket list to visit? And for me, it's either Iceland or Japan. A bucket list, like first place I would like to visit would probably be like basically where I'm from. So, like where my lineage is from. So like Ireland, and just the UK in general would probably be the first thing on my list. Cause I've never went overseas. I've never been anywhere besides, I've been to Canada and I've been to Mexico. So I would definitely love to go over the pond and see the UK and just all of that. But Japan, Australia, those are high up on my list as well. And then what are your interests outside of movies? I love sports, especially football. I'm a big 49er fan. I just love all sports in general. I'm not a crazy diehard insane sports fan for anything, but I enjoy watching sports a lot and I follow it pretty good. Football's the only one that I, really get invested in every year. But I enjoy racing, fighting, pretty much when I'm editing, a lot of times I either have a sport, some game going on, or I have a podcast kind of thing going on. So, um, besides that, I enjoy true crime stuff to do with true crime. I'm a really big fan of documentaries and anything nature, anything that makes me feel like I'm learning something. I'm a real big fan of. All right, now I'll go back to the chat and Boog ask question: would you ever do a watch together on Discord? I used to do those all the time. Um, but it just I couldn't get enough people to really make it like worth all of the effort of doing it, and then the time commitment to it, especially for something that I'm not making any money from. Um, like I know that sounds shitty, but it's not that way. It's unfortunately basically right now, if I am not working on something to make money, I'm not surviving. And unfortunately, it's been that way for a while. Because like I don't think people realize like I'm not like I basically live in my sister's apartment and use my sister's car. Like I barely survive. And every time I kind of feel like, okay, I'm gonna get over that hump and get into an area where I can start doing things besides just work, that's the nature of YouTube. It's like it'll go down in these valleys again, and then you're battling to survive, and then you just start coming out of it, and you get the drift. Everybody's working hand to mouth these days. That's just unfortunately the way it is, especially if you're someone that lives here in California. It is just insanely expensive, and that's another goal of mine is to eventually get out of California. Yeah, Graham, YouTube takes a lot. People don't realize. Like that's why I have the Venmo and the PayPal things on the screen, because those are two things where I get the majority of the money. Because anything you put through the YouTube system, they take between 50 to 50 or more percent, depending on what it is. I mean, I think 30% for some things. I don't know. I just know that I don't see very much of it. But a lot of streamers, it's all good because they get so much money coming in that it's like it's worth it. And even for me, like I'm super appreciative of YouTube. Like if it wasn't for this platform, I don't know what I'd be. I'd probably be on some type of government support right now. And like I hate that. My goal is always to be able to support myself, no matter what medical problems I have or whatever. I want to always be able to take care of myself. So all right. Next question see is from Melissa, the next over on Patreon, and she asked, what horror haunts have you visited and what are your favorites? I'm from Ohio, which has a lot of haunted and horror stuff going on. Have you ever been to any here? No, I've never been to Ohio. I've only been to horror stuff here in California. And then besides California, I went and visited Leslie, who is in the chat. I think I feel like I see people saying hi to Leslie. So hi, Leslie. Oh yeah, there she is. Anyway, I went not this past October, but the one before that, and visited her, and we went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, and it was like more amazing than I could have even imagined. Like by far the most amazing horror thing I've ever been to. Like it was just incredible. Like I felt like a little kid. I was so excited, had so much fun. But other than that, I've just been to a lot of local haunted houses. Every year there's multiple ones in the Sacramento area, and I try to get to as many as I can. I've been to the Six Flags one. I forget what they call it. I think it's like um I forget what they call it, but it's Six Flags version of Halloween Horror Nights. And it's okay. It was really good growing up, but then the last one I went to there, like for the money, it was just not worth it because they don't have any of the IPs. So they don't get Freddy, Jason, like any of that. So it's all like their own made up stuff. And there used to be creativity and stuff and money and whatnot put into it. But last time I went to it, like for the money you spend, like 70, $80 a person, it was just garbage. I was like, this is horrible. It's like not scary at all, not atmospheric, like just real low rent stuff. But the best stuff usually I go to is the little local stuff, the stuff that college kids put on, or like the colleges or churches put on sometimes, like some really cool stuff like that. But I also love driving around in neighborhoods and seeing the different haunted things that go on in the neighborhoods. That's a lot of fun. Are you guys still hearing me okay? I'm seeing like a weird delay on my end. So, oh, Western North Carolina. Okay. Is what was referred to earlier. All right. Now we'll go back to the chat and it says, question, Yo, Kanan, are you from Sacramento? I could swear I saw you working around the other day, walking around the other day. Yeah, I'm from Sacramento. I run into you guys, quite a few people that know who I am here. I don't go out much, but like just a little bit that I do, I get recognized most days. Like I get recognized at this In-N-Out Burger that I go to a lot, and I go to mostly the same movie theater. People see me there a lot. The only time I go to any other theaters, or like if they're the only one playing a certain movie, and there's one downtown Sacramento that I love, this little old theater that plays some cool like artsy stuff sometimes. But yeah, I mean, if you guys ever see me out in the wild, definitely come up. What's up, prop dude? But anyway, if you guys ever see me out in the wild, definitely come up, say hi. Like, I love it. It's very cool to finally, get to see some of your faces in person. Because it's hard to like correlate that, yeah, there's, 64 people watching right now, but it's hard to be like, yeah, those are real people. Like I've met some of you guys, so I know, but like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's cool to put faces to some of the people behind the channel. So a question from Wolfbane. Do you think I should collect bobbleheads or Funko Pops? Not a lot of horror based bobbleheads. There's tons and tons of horror based bobbleheads, but you got to like find the places that make them and sell them. Like Etsy, there's tons and tons of horror bobbleheads on Etsy. I collect pops mostly because they've been sent to me by different ones of you guys. But then also they're cheap. I don't have to worry about it if they get broken. Like the thing I personally have collected is the NECA figures. Those are the ones that I enjoy the most because of the artistry and all the detail and everything that's put into those. Like I really dig those. But I love Funkos. Like they're just fun. And like it doesn't matter if they fall on the floor or they don't break, they're just these little rubber things. They're cute and like fun. There's just nothing all serious about it. I wouldn't ever say I collect them, you know what I mean? Like I don't keep them all pristine in the boxes. I don't have really besides the ones you see. I have a few other ones, like ones that I only bring up for that holiday time of year. But all right, let's go back to the questions on Patreon. Matt Farthing says, if you had to choose one horror that deserves a sequel but didn't get one, what would it be? It's funny, I was just talking about it this week, and I don't know if it would be the number one, but if I really thought about this for a long time, I might come up with something else. But I was just talking about it in the video on Friday, and it's The Ruins. I think The Ruins is such an amazing universe that could have the coolest, sequels. And I just don't know why we didn't ever get a sequel to it. I mean, I guess it just comes down to what it always comes down to is money. But like, I feel like there's so much that could be done in that universe with the lore and all of the stuff that's built in that movie. So I wish someone would make one. I'm sure someday we'll get like a modern reboot of it, but yeah, I just think that it could be so cool. Like I love that movie, the look of it, the style of it. Like the number one though, now that I think about it a little more, is got to be well um damn it, Dog Soldiers. Yeah, Dog Soldiers. They've been talking about making a sequel to that forever. And I've even talked to Neil Marshall, the creator of that movie, and he talked to me personally about it, about how, hey, what's up? Cecil, what's up? The horror show. Definitely go check them out, guys. If you're not familiar with the horror show, like they're one of the OGs that kind of got me into this in the first place. Like during lockdown, I was watching their channel all the time, and it made me feel like, you know what? I love what they're doing. Like I feel like I could contribute something to this world, and I started my channel. So it's still very cool to me that Cecil and Fuego, that they actually know who I am. Like that's just a very cool thing. They're really, really, really nice guys and very passionate about the genre as well. But yeah, I would love to see Dog Soldiers get a sequel finally. And if you want a question, if you have a question, make sure you write the word question, because otherwise I got to kind of scan through here. So, because I don't want to miss, I want to get to as many questions from you guys as possible. Oh, I saw a new A24 movie this week. It's definitely not horror, so don't go into it expecting it to be, but man, Warfare is incredible. Like I wrote on Twitter, which also follow me on Twitter if you guys are over there, because that's where I always write my first reactions to movies. Like right when I walk out of the theater, I'll send a quick tweet out of basically what I think of the movie in a the little paragraph format that they have. And it's just like it really is. It's not a movie, it's an experience. Like it really feels like you're just looking through a window into a moment in history. It is incredible. It's so intense. It's so brutal. The most like just I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's about war, but the artistry behind it and the way that it's done, it almost feels like a one take, but it's not. Oh God, such a good movie. But like I said, it's not horror, so don't go into it thinking um you're going to watch a horror movie. Yes, Kimberly, I do love Curiosity Stream. I've had membership to it for quite a while. That wasn't a question, but it happened to catch my eye because I love Curiosity Stream. All right, let's see. Back to Patreon. Vivian asked, if you could hang out with a horror character without getting killed, of course, who would it be? It's got to be Jigsaw, right? Like, I just think he would be fun to have a beer with. You know, like, of course, like, he's not, coming after me. We're just having a beer. But, like, I just think he would have an interesting conversation. I might get irritated after a little bit, but I think it would be cool to have a conversation with him. Because the thing is, almost any other horror icon you could think of doesn't have a lot to say or is not all that intelligent. It's like Art the Clown's awesome, but he doesn't talk. Same with Michael Myers. Jason is dumb. You know, Leatherface is very childlike. I can't imagine having a great conversation with him. Herbert West would be cool, but he's like too annoying. So yeah, I think I'll go with Jigsaw. All right, back to chat. Trying to find the next question. Make sure you write the word question if you have a question you would like me to talk about or answer, whatever. It's just a good format to have conversation. All right. Next question is from Electrify. And the question is, do you have an eye issue or the patch for show? I have an eye issue. There's an eyeball in there, but it looks off way over to the side. And so I basically have constant double vision. And because of that, this eye hasn't gotten much use. And so it's mostly blind at this point. Just sees bright light and it's obnoxious. And when I started doing video, especially, it helped me a lot because this eye was always having to be closed. And if it ever opened, it would distract me from what I was looking at and help it. So it just helps with like concentration. And eventually it just kind of became part of my look as well. But it was mostly because I had an eye doctor suggest it to me because I get overwhelmed and headaches and whatever when this eye is open. And so you're constantly having to remind yourself, keep this eye shut. And so the patch just does that for you. You just don't have to think about it. All right, back to Patreon. Repo Jack says, you've probably shared this before, but what happened to your eye? So I've talked about this a lot, but basically I got an eye infection when I was a kid. My mom was very mentally ill and basically we were always a part of different religious crazy beliefs, like wild beliefs and cult type of behavior. And she didn't believe in modern medicine, and the infection got worse and worse to the point where this eye was shoved out of the socket and was just barely hanging on. And it was just full of pus and it was just an awful mess. And it went on and on and on for months and months. Luckily, eventually it dried up and all that. I was about 6 or 7 when it happened, and it just caused permanent damage to the tendon and muscle. It didn't snap the optic nerve, but like I was just talking about, the eye just kind of looks way off in, the opposite direction. And yeah, but that's just one of many, unfortunately, tough things I dealt with growing up to do with medical stuff. But all right, next question from LEG Lopez. Have you played Outlast game? If not, I totally recommend. There's a movie on or in the works too. I've heard of quite a few people telling me to check out Outlast. I don't remember if I've seen it or not. I have a hard time playing games much right now because of my hands, but I've been rehabbing my hands like crazy for a couple years now, and I'm able to play games a little bit here and there. I love the game Fallout game. But yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind. I would like to get into gaming again. I've never been huge into gaming, but I used to play quite a bit back when I was in my 20s. But I've mostly always just been really busy making art and, not playing games as much. Oh, shit. And we got a super chat for $10. Thank you so much from John Connor. It is, hey, Kanan, have DJ and you thought out reaching out to horror directors and actors to interview on the Death Rattle? Yeah, he's wanted to for a long time. I don't know how to word this. I don't need to really reach out. Like I know a number of them, and I could easily have had a lot of people in the industry, be it actors, producers, directors, like whatever. But that's just not the format of the podcast that I really personally want to do. It also doesn't do great. YouTube does not promote it. It sucks. I know a number of channels who who do this as well, and I'm not trying to compete with what they do. So like the podcast for me has always been, oh, just got a $5 donation from Neil on Venmo. It says, for your trip, my girlfriend and I love your Rex. We caught Locked in theaters on your suggestion and loved it. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Neil. I hope you and your girlfriend have a fantastic day. That's awesome. Yeah, Vorpal, it's called Warfare. It's a brand new A24 movie that just came out on Thursday night, Friday. Next question is from Joey Bastone. Question: any horror series you recommend? I'm trying to think of. Brand New Cherry Flavor is one of my favorites that doesn't get talked about enough. Unfortunately, it only got one season, but it was kind of a Flanagan type of thing where the whole season was a nice full story. So it would have been cool to get a second season. They originally had planned on a second season, but it unfortunately just didn't get enough support. But it didn't have to have another season, if that makes sense. And I think that show is phenomenal. I'm trying to think. From is great. Oh, I really liked Grotesquerie over on Hulu, and I heard they're working on a season 2. I also like Teacup, that's on Peacock, but it got canceled, so there's only one season, and I don't generally recommend watching shows with only one season unless it's one like Brand New Cherry Flavor where it was like a nice complete full story, whereas Teacup, if you've seen it, it doesn't have a perfect, set. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So off the top of my head, those are ones that I definitely recommend. All right. Next question from John Torrance. Have you heard anything about a new Avengers movie coming out? You mean Marvel Avengers? Am I like misunderstanding the question? Are you talking about Marvel Avengers? If that's the case, yeah, I mean, they're working on a couple of them. It was supposed to be called King's Dynasty, but they changed the name now, and then now it's oh man, what's his name? It's going to be the Fantastic Four villain deal. I forget, but yeah, I mean, it's supposed to come out next year. If it's a different Avengers that you're talking about, let me know. I feel like I'm having a brain fart because I don't usually talk about Marvel stuff. So I'm surprised to get like a Marvel question. All right, let's see here. Back to Patreon. Another one from Repo Jack. What's the process of developing your top 10? I have done many of those on Letterboxd, but I'm curious about your methodology. I try to mix together a couple different criteria. So it's like my enjoyment of it, the impact that I think it had on horror in general, and then the film itself, like the quality of the movie itself, like how well it was made, everything involved, like how well crafted of a movie it is. And I take all those three criteria and then I comb the internet, look at other people's list, rack my own brain trying to remember the ones that, because there's always some that'll pop to mind immediately, but then to fill out the rest of the 10 and make it as complete as possible, I gotta jog my memory. So I'll even go through all my videos and through my notes and look at and try to think of as many as possible, and then I'll sit on that list for usually a couple weeks and tweaking it here and there until I finally feel comfortable enough with it and confident enough in it. And then I'll go ahead and finish the notes about that video and then shoot it. All right. Next question is from LEG. Hi, buddy. Outside of the streams, you seem like a very honest, sweet, humble person. Huge fan. Keep up the good work. Thank you, LEG. I don't know, man. I just try to, I don't know. I just try to be the best human I can be. And like, I've lived a long life. I've seen a lot of things. Question from Nancy Gardner. No, I don't have Cash App. I mean, I guess I could set it up, but generally people have Venmo or PayPal, or you could just donate it to, here on YouTube. Like I said, I don't get 100% of it on YouTube, but I do still get, a good chunk of it. The member thing, they take more of, but like, when you do a super chat, I think they take 30%. So I still get 70%. I'm pretty sure. Oh, a super chat for $5 from Felicia. Thank you so much. And it says, question, Felicia from Detroit. How has your personal social life changed before and after the channel? Unfortunately, my personal life and social life hasn't changed much at all. Like, that's the big thing. And a lot of the reason why I want to travel is like, I have no life. And it started during lockdown because, during lockdown, everything was shut down, and I had a fairly social life before lockdown. And because I did art and I had a lot of friends in our community, and I was always traveling around doing things with art and hanging out with people and all that. But then lockdown happened, and I had already just gone through a pretty rough breakup, like just a couple months before lockdown. And so I was just by myself and started the channel because I couldn't make my art and something to keep me occupied and whatever. And so that's kind of what it was born out of, is a way for me to still, I don't know, do something, and also just, I don't know, be in some way communicating with other people. And then now the only thing that's changed, it hasn't really changed. My only real social life is with you guys, is on social media. I don't really have any friends in person. I mean, I have a number of friends that I care about, like, but not that I have like a ton in common with anymore, or more. In a lot of cases, they have families, and they're kind of like, like, we'll get together once in a while. But when you reach my age, most of your friends just have they have families. That's where they do all their things. I mean, some of my friends are basically, or are grandparents, or will be grandparents soon. So it's like, I don't know, they socialize with their kids and their wives, and so. But yeah, let's see. Next question from Scary Carrie. Are you single? Yes. That kind of tags along with that last question. But yeah, I'm single. Yeah, like, it's tough to meet anybody in my area when I don't really have much of a social network. And then I don't really, like, there isn't a lot of community for horror here in Sacramento. And I've tried my best to go to different things, and but I don't even know how to really crack into it. And there's not, like with art, there's always art shows, there's always art events and things you can go to, social things. But with film and horror, and that's the biggest reason I want to go to these film festivals and conventions and stuff, is to meet people, meet some of you guys, and like, have more of an actual social network. So Oh, thank you so much, Nancy Gardner, for the $2 donation. Thank you very much. And it says, Kanan rocks. Everyone, please smash the like button. Yes, please smash the like button and subscribe if you're not. Boog has a question. It says, have you seen Dead Wax on Shudder? No, is that a new one? If so, thoughts. I absolutely loved it until the end. Is that a new one? I don't know. I really, really, really need to get caught up on Shudder. Like, there's a number of movies on there. Like, I've got a growing list I need to watch. Unfortunately, whenever I make Shudder videos, they don't perform well, and so that's part of why I haven't been covering Shudder as much. But you know, my dream, my goal is to get this channel back into a point where I can make one video a week, which gives me plenty of time to watch the movies I want to watch and really research the movies I want to research and do a really quality video that I'm proud of every single week. And it also would allow me to cover things more of that I want to, you know. But so hopefully later this year. Like, things are just mostly in a drought right now, but it doesn't, that's YouTube. It won't stay this way for long. Scott Hoffman says, question, have you ever made a most disgusting movies I have ever seen list? No, that would be maybe kind of hard. I don't know. I'm not a huge into disgusting, but I'm also not opposed to disgusting. Like, disgusting never affects me like it does most people. Like, I'm one of those weirdos that'll be sitting there talking about gross things while I'm eating or watching gross things while I'm eating. Like, to me, it's more about what it is involved in the story. And if it's done right and all that, then I don't know. I mean, I guess it just depends on what people consider disgusting, right? You know, like, is it disgusting to do with poop? Is it like the front room from last year where there's lots of old lady naked poop and whatever? That might be what some people consider disgusting. And then there's other things where, people think, sexual acts are disgusting or super gory things are disgusting. So, like, I guess it's kind of like scary, right? It's a matter of what you think is disgusting, but I'll definitely keep that one in mind. It's got my wheels turning some. Question from Leg Lopez. Do you ever watch other movie reviewers like 3C Films, Possessed by Horror, Spooky Astronaut, etc.? They cool people like you. Yeah, Possessed by Horror is actually from where I'm from. Like, literally, I know whenever I've watched her stuff, like, I recognize the grocery stores, like the places she goes to, not to sound creepy, but like, I know pretty much where she lives. I don't ever go to that area of town, but like, I am not familiar with, anyway, but she doesn't really communicate with anybody else that I know of on the horror. Like, she really just keeps to herself. I have watched her channel quite a bit. It's not like I watch every video, but like, I've definitely, especially during lockdown, I watched her channel quite a bit. Like, I watched a lot more back when I was first learning the craft and getting into it than I do now. Cause it's one of those things, like, once it's your job, you don't necessarily always want to watch everybody else's opinions because a lot of it will kind of skew your opinion. But I do still check out certain things. 3C, I definitely watch. I watch quite a bit of 3C's videos. I really love his energy and style. I've talked to him on Twitter a couple times. Very nice guy from all the interactions I've had. Spooky Astronaut, once again, she just doesn't really, I don't know what it is, but the females in the horror creator space kind of seem to keep to themselves. They're friends with each other from what I've heard, but they don't really talk to us guys, but yeah, I mean, I definitely am aware of most of the channels in the space. Like, I either know them, I've talked to a lot of them in person, or at least am aware of the channels. But all those ones you mentioned are very, very good channels, very good at what they do. But 3C is, I wouldn't consider him a horror creator. He does cover horror, but he covers a lot. He's like Cody Leach. He covers a lot. I mean, he covers even more than Cody Leach, but like him and Sean Chandler, they cover mainstream movies, cartoons, like family friendly stuff. Like, yeah, they'll cover horror too, but like 3C doesn't get super deep dive into a lot of the horror movies, doesn't get quite as into the weeds like I do, because that's just my main focus. But part of me always wishes that I had done it more of his way and cover everything, because you get the freedom to cover a lot more things, but more than that, you get YouTube, you make more YouTube friendly stuff when you're making stuff about Disney or Marvel or whatever. Yes, I am a Sagittarius. Yeah, Ralph, you're right. We talk about Marvel on Death Rattle. We talk about everything. That's what the format of the show has become on the podcast. And what I really like about it is I wanted a place to just hang out with a friend and talk about stuff, especially mostly things to do with movie industry. We do skew more in the horror world, but our passions in general, and just talk, because like I said, I don't have much of a social life. And so that's what I love about the podcast. And it's just kind of what it's morphed into. Question from Tennis La Minat. What do you think of Flanagan's Haunting of series? Flanagan is my absolute favorite filmmaker especially when it comes to series. Like, he is incredible. Anything Flanagan touches, I am on board. And I mean, some of his stuff is so good that I think it's life changing. Like his Midnight Mass gave me a huge level of clarity on what I believe, like, the beyond and all of that. Like, it's just, his stuff is incredible. It's hard for me to even really put into words. He's one of the few people that I hold on that level of prestige as far as their work. I don't hold any people on any pedestals, because people are just people, but the work that someone does, that, I have huge admiration for. And like, he has that body of work to me that I just think is incredible. Question from John Torrance. Yes, Marvel, thanks. And have you smoked marijuana for your aches and pains? It helps me a lot. I used to smoke a lot of weed back in the day, like a lot, like way, way too much. But eventually it got to where it just started giving me like panic attack kind of stuff. But I use Kratom. Kratom is by far the best muscle pain thing I have ever found. And it doesn't really make you feel high, but it just takes a lot of pain away. So yeah, Mengda root is the one in particular that I use. And it's an over the counter, like you buy it at smoke shops and stuff, but it's a totally legal thing to buy. Question from Gary Gould. Was your last video about nature just about to crack on with frogs? No, frogs was just the one I wanted to put on there because of the fun nature of it. The list was in general just, I had a suggestion from one of you guys, and I just like the idea, because there's some really great ecological horror movies. Originally, I titled the video Eco Horror, but then a bunch of people were confused on what that meant. And I think it's part of why the video tanked so bad. Like, it's the worst performing video I've had in like a year. Like, it's doing horrible. And it's giving me PTSD and stress like a motherfucker. But, it is what it is. Oh, thank you so much, Terry Sanchez. Terry Aglaro Sanchez. donated $5 and says, thank you. Thank you for your community. One of your fans, much love from Puerto Rico. Man, much love back at you. That's awesome. Puerto Rico, hell yeah, that's another place I'd love to go to. And now a $20 donation from Razorback Travel. Thank you so much. And it says, I am a travel agent now, but I am an artist also. Have you watched From the series yet? Watch you whenever you post. Yeah, From is incredible. I mentioned it a little bit ago, I think, when I was talking about horror series that I recommend. I did a I think I did a review of season 1, but I know I talked about it in a video before as well. That show's incredible. Like I'm not gonna lie, I have not watched all the seasons of it. Series are hard for me to watch because there's such a huge time commitment, and a lot of times what I'm watching, if it's not going to be covered in a video, is just, like podcasts, like I said, or just, whatever on in the background, like, stuff about, like today I was watching this, going down this rabbit hole with this one channel that like talked about baseball bats. Like, it makes no sense. It has no relevance to my life. I'm not a huge fan of bats or baseball or any. I mean, I like baseball, but I'm not a huge baseball fan. But it's just, they're interesting people, and it's something to kind of have on in the background. And now another $20 donation from Shay. Thank you so much. And says, just saying hi and love your content. Keep it up, Kanan. Thank you so much. That's awesome. That makes me feel great. Ugh. Oh, and then it looks like 10 gifted donate or channel members from Leslie. Thank you so much, Leslie. And then the next question is from Electrify. What video editing software and camera do you use? This is my camera. It's an iPhone 15, and it's also what I edit most of the videos with. I do have the computer, the MacBook that I'm, streaming from right now, and I use it for thumbnails, audio, and then kind of marrying the audio and the video together. But the camera is this, and the software is called Video Shop, and they have it on Android too, because I used it originally. I had Android, and then I switched because Apple has better cameras on their phones, and so I switched to Apple after doing the channel for a year or so. But yeah, it's called Video Shop. It's only like 20 or 30 bucks a year, something like that. But as far as software on your phone, it's the best I've found. And there are some other ones that technically are better. There's more bells and whistles to them, but the comfort is a lot of the reason I edit on my phone is because I have such problems with my hands. Like I have carpal tunnel. I cannot, do this all day. Like I can't have my mouse. I just can't do it. So, the comfort of it and the ease of it, with my thumbs and that software is really, really good at doing all that. You got to use imagination and a lot of creative ideas to pull off some of the things when you're editing on a phone, though. Like, if you're using a computer, you could do a lot more with it, but you can do all the same stuff with a phone. You just have to kind of have creative solutions sometimes. Question from John Torrance. Have you been to the horror convention Transworld? Nope. I've watched the House of Mask he's a YouTuber. I remember watching a video that he did where he was at Transworld, so I'm familiar with it. It looks awesome, but no, I haven't been to it. I haven't been very many places, unfortunately. That's the goal, man. It was supposed to be the goal for this year, but so far it hasn't been happening. But that's why I'm trying to put it out there that all donations help a lot. And if you guys, any of you can help me out at all, $1 here, there, it adds up, because I'm trying to get the channel and my finances into a good enough position that this summer I can go at the very least, I can go to Fantastic Fest at the end of the summer. And it's like the horror film festival to go to every year. Question or from, oh, thank you. Another $5 donation from Felicia. And the question is, do you have a favorite decade style of movies? I'm struggling with 70s versus 80s. I don't know if I'm really bad with favorites. Like, I don't know if you guys have figured that out about me or not, but like, I have this weird way of looking at things where it's hard for me to say something is my favorite when it has a distinctive style versus another thing that has a distinctive style. So like comparing 80s and 70s, I don't know how I could say I like one over the other because they're totally different entities and I love them both for what they are. And so it's like if I, want something that's really artsy and slow pacing and moody and all that, the 70s is awesome. But then if I'm feeling like I want something fun and campy and all of that and colorful, then the 80s has got it. And then if you want something even more colorful and wacky and with some bad special effects and whatever, then you go into the 90s and so on. So like every decade has its own flair, its own style, its own thing that makes it special. And so it's like, how do you compare an apple to an orange? Like they're different things. Like I love an apple for what an apple is. I love an orange for what an orange is. I can't say I prefer the one over the other because when I want an apple, I go to an apple. If I want an orange, I go to an orange. I don't know. It's just a weird way my brain works. Let's see. Go back to the patrons. I make sure I think there's still some I might have missed. What are you doing, Patreon? You're being like a pain in my butt today. Let's see. I think maybe I got them all. Yep. I've got all the patrons. So yeah, so if you're already a Patreon member or if you are going to become a patron soon, every week I'm going to post that questionnaire on there, and those questions are ones I'm going to for sure get to, like no matter what. So if you ask multiple questions, I might not get to all of your questions, but I'll get to at least one of your questions. All right. Question from Felicia. I'm sorry if I missed it. How old are you? I am 47, I think. Yeah. Yeah, 47. So an old man. But that's not to say that if you're 47, you're old. I just feel like an old 47. Mentally, not so much, but my body feels like it's 90. Wolfbane says, have you ever been to C2E2, Chicago Comic-Con and Entertainment Expo? Nope. Bucket list of cities I want to go to is New York, number 1, New Orleans, probably 2, and then Chicago, 3. But honestly, any one of those, I would just be through the moon to go to. Like, I want so bad to go to those cities. Like, I've never really gone anywhere, man. Like when I was a kid, I went to quite a few places, but then as an adult, I've barely been out of California. I mean, more than some. Like some people, literally never leave their city. And like I've gone all over California and I've been to Alaska and I've been to Washington and, I'm not complaining. I have definitely been some places, but not especially since when I was in music, I went to a lot more places. And I traveled to a lot of the states, but like little cities because we were just traveling and playing where we had gigs, And if you have a question, make sure you write question. And I got a question from Boog. Question, have you seen Itchy the Killer? The ending is one of the biggest mind fucks ever. Chef's kiss. No. It's one of those movies that I think I've had the ending ruined for me. There's just some of those movies where if you don't see them when they're the buzz and someone happens to ruin the ending for you or a big moment in it, you're just less like you're a lot more hesitant to just throw that on. But it's one that I definitely do need to watch. But I've also heard a lot of people say it's not a horror movie, so then it's also not as high on a priority list. Like the priority list is always movies in theaters first. Anything in a theater, especially if it's a little indie movie, I see in theaters, especially if it's horror. It's like if it's a horror indie movie, there is no chance I won't see it if it's in a theater. And then, priority goes down further and further depending on, Prop Dude has a question and says, how do you feel about doing another horror comedy top 10 like Cooties? Unfortunately, the top 10s videos just seem to be doing so bad. And it sucks because I want to do more of those. It's why you haven't seen me do a comedy one yet. And you haven't seen me do like haunted ones yet. Like there's a lot of these top 10s I'd love to do, but they perform so bad. I mean, look at the one I released on Friday. It's barely over 10,000. Every other video is normally over 20,000 at this point. Like it's just doing so bad. And it sucks. I hate that because I wish I didn't care. I wish it didn't matter, but it does. It's literally how I make a living. And when a video does that bad, it means it's going to make like maybe $50. And so it's like a week's worth of work for $50. And so it's just like, can't do that very often. Like just unfortunately I can't. But yes, to answer the question, Prop Dude, and I'm just trying to be transparent and let you guys know the truth. I'm not trying to complain. It's like, I love you guys. I love this job. I'm not going to stop doing it anytime soon. Like I love it, but just trying to be realistic and real with you guys. But anyway, I do want to do that list at some point. Like there'll definitely be a list of my favorite comedy horror movies or what I think are the top 10, because that's such a fun genre. Not all fans of horror love that genre, but like me personally, I love horror comedies. I'm not even a huge fan of comedies, which is funny, but I'm a huge fan of horror comedies. Jeff Logan has a question and says, what is your favorite horror franchise? Love your channel. You know, I would have said at one point, I would have said Scream, but it's not Scream anymore. Saw is definitely up there. Terrifier, now that there's 3 movies, that's up there. I've always loved Child's Play series, Friday the 13th, Halloween. Halloween is really high up there, especially if you count Halloween 3. But I think I gotta say Evil Dead now. There isn't a single Evil Dead movie that I don't enjoy. Like I love them. Like even Evil Dead Rise, which is maybe my least favorite. I mean, it's like, but it's hard to even say that when I love all of them. Like just love the movies. Like they're all great. And then if you also include Ash versus Evil Dead, I mean, the franchise is just money. So good. Let's see. Looking for the next question. I love it. A lot of you guys are right around the same age. We're all from the right around the same generation. Love it. Make sure you write question if you want me to respond, because I'm just kind of scanning through the chat. But this one caught my eye from Sylvester Aguilar. Sup, Kanan? Hot take, Anaconda or Deep Blue Sea? Man, that's a tough one, because I actually love both those movies, and a lot of it is for similar reasons. You know what? I think I'm going to go Anaconda. Even though Deep Blue Sea is the better movie, there is so much camp there is so much that's just so fun with Anaconda. Like I saw it for the first time in a while, like I think it was last summer at the drive-ins, and I hadn't rewatched it in a number of years. And like I've seen it, numerous times in my life, but I hadn't seen it in a few years. And I saw it at the drive-ins because every now and then the drive-ins will, like, I wish they would do it more, but every now and then they'll play an old movie. It's rare now. But like during lockdown and and then because of not a lot of things coming out last year with the Hollywood strike and all that, they playing some old movies again. But anyway, I saw it and I was just like, holy crap, dude, this movie is so much fun. Like, I am telling you, it is, to me, the quintessential popcorn horror movie. Like, when I talk about popcorn horror, that's what I'm talking about. A movie that you just don't take serious. It is super fun. You cannot like pick it apart, because if you do, it's a lost cause from the jump. You just gotta let it be what it's gonna be and laugh at it and enjoy it. It's super, super fucking entertaining. Yeah, like, love that movie. But at the same time, Deep Blue Sea is a damn good movie, and maybe my second favorite shark movie behind Jaws. Like, I'd have to really think about it, but it's definitely up there. I think I actually did that list before, my 10 favorite shark movies. I'll definitely do another shark video this summer, some type of shark list. Oh, thank you so much. $5 donation from Felicia. Thank you. And she says, question, why do you think top 10s do bad? And which of your list does the best? The top 10s, I don't exactly understand why they don't. And that's a lot of the problem. And so it's like hard for me. I've been trying to figure this out for a couple years now, of ones like, because that's the thing. The more you understand and know why something does what it does, the more when you're taking a smart bet, or whatever. Because like, I don't ever want to stop experimenting and trying new things. Like, I'm always wanting to do that. And so that, I don't want it to get stale, and I don't want to just do the same things over and over or whatever. But like, you can only experiment so much because it's dangerous. But like, for instance, I know the safest video I can do is a top 10, or not top 10, but a 10 recommendation video for Tubi. That's the safest one I can do, because they never do bad. They don't do big, huge numbers. Like, they're not the top, videos for me, but they never do bad. They always do pretty damn good. They're even the bad ones are like 25 and the good ones are like 45. So like, they're always, in that range. But then the top 10s are, I love doing them, but they just, I've had a couple do really good for me. I had the werewolf one did really, really good. The second werewolf one did good. The first vampire movie did really good. The second one did okay. And then every now and then I'll do one that'll do okay, but most of the time they just don't do good. And I think some reason the algorithm thinks that less of you guys are going to enjoy it. That's what it comes down to. When a video doesn't do good, it isn't so much that you guys aren't liking a video. It's that the algorithm doesn't think you guys are going to like it for various reasons. And usually, as much as it sucks, it comes down to the thumbnail. Like 90% of what makes a video do good is the thumbnail. And it's so frustrating. I can't afford to hire a professional, thumbnail designer. And I think I do decent on the thumbnails, but like, you're competing against other channels who are either really, really good at making thumbnails or can afford to hire someone that's really, really good at making thumbnails. But yeah, it's, I don't know. But the ones I really enjoy making, though, are my highly recommended. And like, I've started that as like a series now, so they're all numbered. And the last one I did was number 20. So I've done 20 of those videos now, but I really enjoy doing those because they give me the freedom to talk about anything and everything. Like I don't have to talk about just one platform that week or one type of, I could talk about something that's a new release in theaters, and it allows me to not do individual reviews because those also do really, really bad on the channel. That's why I've stopped doing the individual review videos. Leslie, not giving out her age. Yeah, see, PJR, that's another one that I would like to do. I've wanted to do like 10 from each decade, like I did 2000s one, but that did really bad. But I want to do regional. I want to do like, 10, my 10 favorites or 10 best or whatever from Australia, from Japan, from South Korea. Like I want to do that. But it's one of those they have to kind of sprinkle them in. Like when I have a couple videos that are doing good in a row, sprinkle one of those in, that kind of thing. Or in a week like last week where I'm able to just grind like 24 hours a day and get 2 videos out in a week. In that week, even though neither one of those videos did good, because I released 2 in that week, it softened the impact of the video on Friday doing so poor. Thank you so much, Shauna, for a $10 donation. Not even a question or nothing, just $10. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Question from Tiffany Evans. I know it's not technically horror, but have you watched the White Lotus series? If so, what do you think of it? Love your channel so much. Thank you for all you do. No, I haven't watched it. I think I started episode 1 and just didn't feel like it was going to be my thing. And I don't know almost anything about it. Like it just seemed like it was going to be a drama to me and just didn't catch my attention. The only non-horror series I've been watching that I just think is incredible is The Pit. The Pit is like one of the best TV series ever made. Like it is so, so incredible. Question from Joe Begret. Besides horror, what other type of movies do you like? I really like anything indie, anything kind of artsy or indie. I love it. I watch, especially if it's in a theater, I watch it. That's why I just went yesterday and saw day before yesterday and saw Warfare. But I'm not a huge comedy guy. If it's a comedy, like just a comedy, it's rare that I watch it. It has to have like huge buzz, like everybody in the world is talking about it for me to check it out. I love documentaries, but pretty much indie stuff, especially if it's got a thriller, horror edge to it at all, that I'm definitely into. I like weird. That's why I like indie stuff so much. Some dramas I'll check out, but I'm not like a huge drama guy unless, like I said, once again, it has like a huge buzz. But I kind of watch everything, especially if it's in a theater, because I do a lot of my editing at the drive-ins. And so whatever there is playing that I haven't seen, I'll watch. Like I watched damn it. I'm spacing on what it's called. But like I watch, the Disney animation movies. Like I watch just about anything if it's at a theater. Like it's very rare if it's a new release and it's like a fairly bigger movie and I don't watch them just because they're on at the drive-ins. I kind of only half watch them a lot of times. Like if it's not grabbing my attention, like what was it? Like the new Jason Stamos movie. That's in theaters, like Working Man, I think, or something like that. I tried watching it. I was editing and like kind of just tuned it out, ended up going for a walk And that's a lot of the reason I go to the drive-ins. It gives me a place that's nice and cool and safe at night that I can just go on a walk, but I can still be editing, you know? I love our drive-ins. We only got one left, but luckily everybody in the Sacramento area loves it and keeps it alive. Boog has another question. Which serial killer do you like the most? I have a couple, but my top two are Gein and Kemper. Oh, real killers? Yeah, you're never gonna hear me say I like any serial killers because I just think they're all pathetic. But fascinating is a better way of putting it. Like, what serial killers am I fascinated by? Um, and usually that just has to do with the story and like how they were discovered and like the mental part of all of it. Kemper is definitely interesting, especially his interviews and insight into the mind of a serial killer is super fascinating. Gein is like one of the least interesting to me, so I'm surprised that you have him on, it's one of yours because he's just he was just pathetic. Like, he's not a smart guy. He wasn't interesting. He gets credit for like killing a bunch of people and all of this. In reality, he killed like one person. And, like he just is a weirdo head case. Kind of like Night Stalker, like nothing really impressive about him. He just was more of a spree killer than a serial killer and was pathetic. So I'm more interested in the stories, like the detective side of it, the mental side of it. I've never been like impressed with the killer, or that's why you're never gonna hear me say my favorite. Like, it just doesn't, we're talking about fictional killers, totally different. But as far as actual killers, yeah, I don't know. Just if you know enough about serial killers, you do enough learning and research into all of that, you realize pretty quickly on how pathetic and what losers they all are. Because so much of it is just about selfishness, and they kill for their own selfish needs. Question from John Torrance: do you think there should be a Nobody Gets Out Alive? You mean like a sequel? Do you think there should be a Nobody Gets Out Alive? If you're talking about should there be a sequel to it, yeah, I wish there was. It's another movie that is really unfortunate that it just kind of has gone over to Netflix and died, and you don't hear anybody talk about it. But like, oh man, I feel like it built out a universe, with what happens at the end of it, that could be a very cool world expanded upon that hasn't been and probably won't. Do. See, are you guys out of questions? Oh, nope. There's one from Felicia. I'm with Sacramento relationship. What? I'm with Sacramento relationship with horror. Why do you think? Felicia, can you rewrite that question for me? Because I don't understand what you're saying. Sorry. Question from Gary Gold. Have you seen anything in 4D Max? What do you think? I don't have great eyesight, so a lot of that doesn't make a huge difference to me. If I have my glasses on at the theater, like, there's only so much high quality that I can even see anyway. So I generally am not the guy that's going to spend a lot for the better visuals or whatever. I think that's what 40 Max is. But I do love the um the IMAX theaters just because of the experience, man. It's like so cool being there. And so maybe if 40 Max is the whole like like where you're getting the physical experience and all of that, then no, I haven't experienced it, but I want to. I know there's more and more of that, and I really want to see a theater that does the whole thing like, Disneyland does at California Adventure, like used to do with Bugs Life and things like that. But I know they have those 40 boxes, and I haven't done them yet, but I've heard that at the right theater they're pretty cool. So I don't know, maybe that's what you're talking about, the D box. All right. Next question from John Torrance. Did you like the series Salem? I don't think I've seen it. I feel like that was one that people were talking about on, wasn't it on like A&E or something like that? But no, I don't think I've seen that one. Question from Felicia. I'm surprised. Oh, okay. I am surprised with Sacramento's relationship with horror. Why do you think? And what genre do they support? Sacramento doesn't really support much of anything, man. Sacramento is like the biggest, like, little city in the world. It's weird. Like, it'll go through waves. Like, there was a time when it was really supporting music. And then now that's down. There was a time when it was supporting the arts quite a bit in general, and now that seems to be down. There is some support for horror, like, when we have our horror conventions, like, a couple thousand people will show up, but it's nothing like, it's crazy. You'd think like because Sacramento is a big city, you would think like it would be, of course not like LA or something, but like still like, 20,000, 15,000 people will show up over a 3-day weekend to conventions all over the country. But Sacramento is just not that way. It's like, you know, there just isn't anything to do here, like of any kind, regardless of what it is. So it's not that they don't support horror. They just in masses don't really support anything here because there's just not enough to do. There's not, I don't know. There just isn't big events. There isn't, like they support sports decently. Like we have a shitty basketball team we've had forever, who at one time I was a diehard fan with, and they support the Kings somewhat, but question from David. Have you ever seen 1975 movie called Race with the Devil? No. It stars Warren Oates, Peter Fonda, and Lorette Swift. It's worth a watch, and the ending is one of the first of its kind. Interesting. Race with the Devil. I feel like someone told me about that movie before, and I tried to find it, and it was hard to find. But I'll keep that one in mind. Unfortunately, the 70s is a blind spot for me somewhat. There's a lot of 70s horror that I have not seen. Like, it's one of those frustrating things. Like, if you didn't see it growing up, most of the movies I watch now are things from the last 10 years because you're always battling to keep up with the things that are constantly being released. Question from Slavic Vampiro. Kanan, have you seen The Frogman? Yeah, you're talking about Frogman over on Screenbox. Yes, I have. I think it's on Tubi now as well. I feel like I just recommended it on my last Tubi list. It's if you're if you're a fan of found footage movies, it's one of the best, and from the last couple years. Like, I really enjoy it. Oh shit, Felicia with another $5. Thank you, Felicia. And she wrote, "I'm sorry, surprised about Sacramento's relationship with horror. Why do you think it's so bad? And what?" Okay, so I feel like I just answered that, but thank you so much for that $5 donation. Yeah, Ralph. COVID is been devastating for Sacramento and the arts, you know, for a lot of things. I mean, like, we have almost no mom and pop restaurants anymore, like tons and tons of them closed down. We're starting to get some new ones popping up again, but like, yeah, like we lost a lot when it comes to food, the art, like California in general, because California is not kind to small businesses or artists in general. So that's a lot of it. And like, if you're not in LA and you do art or have a small business, like, you're kind of fucked, because San Francisco and LA, they make X amount of dollars. And so they can afford the taxes and all of the things that go along with California. But if you're where we are, it's still in a big city, but we don't make anywhere near the kind of money that those metropolises do. So, yeah. So people here don't really have the money to afford to spend on things that are not essential. Is kind of what it comes down to. John Torrance says, question, do you think the original Dawn of the Dead still holds up? Hell yeah. Dawn of the Dead is like one of the greatest horror movies ever made. You know, Day of the Dead is great as well. Night as well. But like, for me, Dawn of the Dead is I believe I put it as my number one when I did my top 10 zombie video. I can't remember if I didn't put it number one, it was because Night of the Living Dead has so much importance in culture and everything. So I might have put it number one, but either way, I'm almost positive Dawn of the Dead was my number one on there. It's just, there's so much amazing about it. And like, it's hard, like, for any other zombie movie to compete, because it did a zombie movie before there really was a zombie thing, and it did it still better than even ones that are making them to this day. So, but speaking of that, even though it's not technically a zombie movie, I'm extremely excited for 28 days or 28 years later this summer. I think it's going to be awesome. PJR says, question, have you watched the Meta Teen Horror +1? No, I don't even know what that is. Meta Teen Horror +1. Is the show called +1? I haven't even heard of that. Kristen says, question, would you share more about growing as far as the religious part? I think a lot of people would be interested. I just don't think that my channel is the place for that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like politics. I try not to really get into religion as well, because I don't want to cast aspersions on other people and make people think because I believe one way, that means that they shouldn't, or that I don't want them to, you know, or whatever. Like, I think all that stuff has a place, but we need to have a community here that we can all unite on, instead of a place where that divides us, because everywhere you go is dividing us right now. Like, you go to Twitter, you're being divided. You name it right now, and it's being divided. You know, if you believe in this, then you're on this side. If you believe in this, you're on this side. Like, I wanted from the beginning to create a place where we could all have a sense of camaraderie, even if we differ on a lot of things. You know, it's like when we were growing up, you know, we didn't, like, when we were friends with, friends in the neighborhood, you had guys that, you were Mormon and you were Baptist and you came from an atheist family, and and it didn't even matter. It's like, well, we all loved baseball, or we all loved collecting GI Joes or whatever. And that was our thing that we loved and united us. And so that was, that was what mattered. We came together on that. Didn't talk about or worry about the things that made us different. So that's kind of why I don't really get much into all of that, Question, what is your opinion on Last Shift and Malum? I actually enjoyed Last Shift more. Jeff Logan asked that question. Watch my next video. I actually talk about that exact thing in the next video I'll have be coming out middle to late next week, probably Thursday, because I have a sponsor in it. So it might take an extra couple days to get that all cleared through. And hopefully I still got to shoot the sponsor segment. So hopefully I'm able to do that, because the sponsor right now would really be huge. I have like 3 of them that are kind of like circling around me, but only one that committed on doing a sponsor deal with me. So, but I'm really hoping that one of these other, like I have one in particular that I've wanted to work with for a long time. And like, I don't know, they keep going back and forth with me. I'm like, so are we doing this? Like, you came at me in the first place because you're like, this was your price, right? And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, all right, cool. So like, what are we waiting on? Like, let's do this. John Torrance says, can Terrifier 4 keep up the momentum of the first 3? Yes and no. I mean, it's like, depends on who you are, like the type of fan, because there are some people that feel like after Terrifier 1, the series had just never been as good. And then there's other people who enjoyed Terrifier 2 the most. Like me, I enjoyed Terrifier 2 the most, but I enjoy all the movies for what they are, and I enjoy each one, and I think each one is fun and great in its own way. And so like if you're someone like that is just along for the ride, I think you're going to enjoy Terrifier 4. It's going to be more of the same. It might be a little more campy like 2, or it might be a little more darker and edgy like 1, or it might be right down the middle like 3. Either way, I think you're going to enjoy it if you're along for the ride. But if you're someone that is like critiquing it and you're someone that is more of that mind, like if you're DJ, you're not going to like it. He hates all of them, so. All right. So it looks like I have ran out of questions from you guys. So maybe that means it is a good time to call it, because I still need to shower and go get some dinner. It's almost 5 or 4:37. But does anybody else have any last minute questions or whatever? I'll get to those real quick. But I very much appreciate all the donations, and like, it's hard to even explain to you guys how much that means to me, not only because it is financially going to help me on the next check and be less stressed about my next check, but also it's just the overall of getting to a point this summer that I can go to some of these things. Because even in Sacramento, like there's these different events that I can't even go to here. Like, even though I don't have to spend money for, much beyond the ticket of it. Like right now, I mean, I do nothing like besides going to see movies to cover. Like I do nothing, and it just sucks. So at the very least, any and all of the donations you guys come through with, it just makes it to where I'll be able to, like, instead of eating macaroni and cheese for dinner tonight, I can afford to go get Panera, even if it's just that, it makes my life better. And so I'm very, very grateful to you guys for that. I got a question from John Torrance. Question: who would win in a fight, Jason, Michael, or Art? It's tough because you got to be like, okay, well, are we talking about the Jason that's a zombie that's, immortal, or Michael that seems like he's kind of like superhuman? So it just depends on the version of those characters that we're talking about. But like, if I'm going to go based on like the first movie that they were in, where they're all mortal, they're all just psycho killers, I'm going to go with Jason, because even in the first movie he was in, which was, Nightmare on Elm Street, or I'm sorry, Friday the 13th 2, when he was Baghead, he was already a big Brutus, country boy. You know what I mean? Like that country strength. And Michael in the first movie, we always think of Michael as imposing and all that because of what he's become. But if you watch that first movie and think about it, this is like a 160, 170-pound guy. Like I would have whooped his ass. You know what I mean? Like, and Art the Clown, he's vicious, he's merciless, but he's not like a big guy. I mean, I've met David Howard Thornton. Like he's a $150, maybe 160, something like that, 5'10", something like that. Like not a very big guy. And Art is not something, he's not someone that, and same with Michael, like they're not cunning killers. None of these three really are. If you go based on their first movies, they're more about just being ruthless. And if you go just based on who's the strongest, and if they're all ruthless, because they are, but because like in the first movie, we find it at the end that maybe Art the Clown is supernatural, but like I said, if we're going to take the supernatural part out of it, because if you leave the supernatural part in, it's tough to say, right? Who's supernatural undead element beats the other, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm going to go with Jason just because he's bigger and stronger in his origins. Question from Diana Adradi. Which horror movie are you looking forward to this year? I think I'm looking forward the most to Bring Her Back now. Like after seeing that most recent trailer, like that movie, it looks like once again, Danny and Michael Philippou, they have the ability, just like who was I thinking of? The guy that did When Evil Lurks. I'm totally blanking on his name right now, and that pisses me off because I talk about him all the time. But of any filmmakers out there, they have this creative mind that is able to do something that feels different to me than anything I've ever seen. And like, it's not that the basic idea is all that out there or any of that, but somehow the tone of what they make feels different. And that's how I'm blanking on his name, but that's the guy that made When Evil Lurks. He has that ability as well. Like he just makes things that just feel different. And it's hard to even put a finger on what that means. Some of it is the way things look. Some of it is the pacing and the color grade, like all of it, but it just feels different. And so I'm very excited for 20 years later, but I think there's a good chance that Bring Her Back is going to be the movie we're talking about the most this year. I also think the other one that it'll be into contention is Together, I think it's called, but it's supposed to be like insane body horror movie. And so I'm looking forward to that one too. I don't know much about it. The trailer doesn't tell you much about it, but yeah. And then Nancy Gardner with a $2 donation. Thank you so much. And says, are you excited for any upcoming horror movies? Well, I just answered that at the same time. I love how you guys sometimes will all get the same idea right at the same time. Oh, sorry. I keep covering up the links, but they're on the bottom of the screen right there. I saw Leslie telling people to go to the donation links. So yeah, those are for Venmo or PayPal. Those are the links on the bottom. Sorry, I'd been covering them up. I'm not good at the donation thing. Damien Rugna, thank you. I keep saying Rugna, and it's not. It's Rugna. Damien Rugna. I actually just did a video talking about one of his movies, and making me mad the whole time I'm editing because I keep saying Rugna, and I'm like, it's not Rugna, it's Rugna. Nothing gets to me more than me pronouncing a name poorly. Sometimes, you only can pronounce a word or a name you know, like a French word, a French name. I can only pronounce them so well. Like there's certain languages that your mouth shape is not, you can't do it. And then there's also, you can only work with what information you get. And I basically use Google Translate. But what makes me angry is when it's one that I know the right way to say it and I still say it wrong. Then it makes me so frustrated. But yeah, Damien Rugna is just an astounding filmmaker. And like, I just cannot wait to see what that guy does next. Like, even the little short element he did in Satanic Hispanics, even that was the standout of that entire movie. It made that movie worth seeing. I mean, it's a fun movie in general, but his segment in it made it worth seeing, period, just to watch his little 10-15 minute segment. Sorry, Renee, I am not a reader. I have not good eyesight. I have severe dyslexia, and I have a hard time reading anything beyond paragraph at most. Felicia comes in with a question, says, is there a reason that you don't do reaction videos? We'd love to go down 70s hole with you. Demon Seed, Burnt Offerings, The Entity, Mask of the Red Death, Shivers, Invasions, etc. The more you diversify on a channel, it doesn't seem to do well. Like the algorithm, kind of like so what they call it is niching down. So like the more you niche down and do just this, why I don't do individual reviews anymore. And the reason they don't do good is because the algorithm gets confused and it doesn't push those things. It's the same reason why the podcast doesn't, even though every week the podcast is put on this channel, it gets like very, very little views. I mean, you think about, there's 60 whatever thousand subscribers here, and the podcast gets maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 views. It's just, you know, it's a different format. The algorithm doesn't recognize it. It doesn't think that those subscribers are going to want to watch it. And that's why when you're like, dude, how did Kanan have a new video out and I didn't get notified? That's why. It's because it's not promoting that, because it doesn't think that you're going to like it. And it's confusing. A lot of times it doesn't make sense the way that it does things, but I've seen so many YouTube channels, and we all have our bread and butter. That is like the thing that makes your channel go. It's what pays the bills. And then we'll try to be creative and try different things and sneak little things in here and there, because none of us want to just be repetitive and always do the same thing over and over. But I tried doing reaction stuff. It never took off. You know, I've tried all of it. If you look way back at the stuff I was doing 4 years ago, like I tried all kinds of stuff. I did unboxing videos. I did reaction videos. I did individual reviews. Like I did horror movie foods, which is my favorite thing I did that nobody watched. And I rewatched some of those horror movie food videos. Like I only did like 3 or 4 of them, but they were really good. Even though I was doing that like 4 years ago, they were still really good, but nobody watched them. You know, Malik Patty asked, are you in any films, Kanan? No, I'm not. And funny story, I'm not going to get into the details exactly why. I might talk about it more in the podcast this coming week. I don't know, but I was actually had the opportunity to be in a movie and I turned it down for different reasons. But it's funny, if you had asked me, you know, my younger self, the idea of being in a movie is like so cool. Like how, you know, there's no way you would turn down being in a real movie, not like a little tiny, you know, nothing burger thing, but like a real movie, and you turned it down. Like, no way. But, you know, I'm not against it at any point. Like, I'm totally down for it at some point. I'm sure I'll be some role, but like in a movie, but like I don't have any desire to be famous. I'm not trying to be an actor. I'm not, you know, and they don't pay you shit either. So it's definitely not about the money. But like if it was a cool role or something that I fit in, or I'm totally down. But Tiffany comes in with another $9.99. Tiffany Evans, thank you so much. And still, no question, no comment, just helping out. And that is amazing. Thank you. A question from John Torrance. Did you like the way In a Violent Nature was made from the killer's POV? Yeah, I loved the idea of it. It's an experimental movie. And then like there's a number of experimental movies that I love the idea. I love what they're trying. I just don't think it totally works. And like When Evil Lurks, or not When Evil Lurks, In a Violent Nature is a perfect example of that, of where I loved the POV. I loved a lot of that. I loved watching him for stretches of time walking through the woods and whatever. But there is way too much of that, and it just gets tedious and it gets slow. And then on top of that, when you don't have a really interesting, compelling story, and characters, then you're left with, yeah, it's a cool idea with a lot of great kills, but that's about it. And that's how I felt about that movie. Like, I love the idea of it. I'm really excited to see what those guys doing going forward. It just, yeah, it just didn't, like, as a complete movie, it just, wasn't amazing. David, I did a full review video, or not David, where was it? Renee. I did a full review of the movie Never Let Go. And my favorite horror genre is probably would be like cosmic horror, Lovecraftian kind of horror, like movies that have to do with the sense of the unknown, that, there's just not a lot of things that I think are more scary and awesome than a movie that makes you ask the big questions and gives you this feeling of beyond you, that you're so much that your brain can't contain it, kind of thing. Like, when those are done right, man. Felicia comes in with another $5. Thank you, Felicia. Because of my long reaction questions, I adore you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I guess technically Leslie's right. She wrote she's mad about, or she's mad that she missed being in the Hellgate, DJ's upcoming movie. And technically I am in that movie. You just won't see me. I am like behind the scenes in a way. Like, I'm doing something that you see on screen, but you just won't see that it's me, if that makes sense. I remind you of Dennis Hopper, huh? I've never heard that one. Oh, are you? Yeah, when he was the villain. What movie is that? Is that Mad Max, where he's the villain with the eye patch? Guston says, question: do you think many skips movies like When Evil Lurks? Do you think people skip movies like When Evil Lurks because of the subtitles we're used to in non-English speaking countries? That is a big part of it, and that's why you see Netflix dubbing quite a bit of foreign content. But it isn't a deal breaker at the same time. I mean, because like a movie with When Evil Lurks, for a small movie from another country, it's still got a fairly somewhat wide release here in the United States, like, and a good buzz around that movie, especially for being, a going straight to Shutter kind of movie. But yeah, anytime a movie ask people. It's why Ju-on, where there's the ring. The ring was huge, but Ju-on barely made a ripple. It's just how it works when you're in the United States, because we get so much of our movies and TV made here that we're not used to reading subtitles as a normal thing. But more and more people are. And look how big Godzilla was. Like, it made more money than any other foreign movie is ever made in the United States, and it was subtitles. So like if it's good enough and it gets big enough word of mouth, it won't stop people from seeing it, but it definitely hurts it. John Torrance says, question, what do you think about Grave Encounters versus Hell House? I like Hell House way better. Grave Encounters is just too cheesy to me, and it just reminds me, like, it's not that I dislike the movie really, but it just reminds me too much of Ghost Adventures, and those guys just give me, like, I just want to punch them in the face. Like, those phony kind of people, like, drive me nuts. It's like these big streamers, that are just phony plastic people that there's not an authentic bone in their body. They just feel like you're watching car salesmen. And so that's why I don't, not a big fan of Grave Encounters versus like Hell House is just a really good found footage movie, and it feels super real, and it's like the exact opposite. Question from Ralph. What's up, Ralph? Do you get screen credits and Dennis Hopper Waterworld? Oh, that's what it is, Waterworld. No, I don't think so. I don't know if DJ is still gonna do it, but he had talked about putting me in an executive producer credit because I helped out in different ways. But I don't know, and I don't care. I'm not trying to be in credits or anything. Like, I'm not. It's the same reason I'm not in movies and things. I'm not looking for clout. I'm not looking for, like, look at me kind of thing. Like, like, I'm always more about, like, I want my content to be what people are, like, that's the substance. That's what matters, not me. Like, I know that's such a weird thing because I'm on camera right now, but I never like to make things about me. I like to make it about the movies that I'm talking about and about the artists and creators out there that are doing these things. I don't agree. Hollywood drinker Stumacher, I don't think that he's going to be alive in this movie, and I wish he would be. And I feel like they're really screwing up by not making him alive. But I've heard enough things from behind the scenes that it's not that it's going to be something more to do with, I'll just say it's more to do with AI, more to do with face swap, cloning, kind of that world than it is Stumacher actually being back, like, alive. Like, he's going to be in it. You're going to see him. He's going to have a bunch of dialogue, but it's not really Stu. And I don't know that for a fact, but I've heard enough things buzz, and I do know some things for sure, but I'm not going to say those on the stream. But yeah, like, that's not the direction they're going. And if it is, and I've been like, I would be so excited if I'm wrong, but like, I'm almost positive. Like, I know enough things to know that I highly, highly doubt it. Do you watch Beardo Get Scared? I don't even know what that is. From John Torrance. Question was, do you watch Beardo Get Scared? I have no idea what that is. Never even heard of Beardo Get Scared. All right. I think I'm going to call it there, guys. I think I've got all the questions, and I'm very, very hungry and tired. Okay, I'll get this last one, even though it's, yeah. From Makano 46. Yeah, Makano 46. What is your opinion of horror movies based on video games? I love them, and when they're done right, I think they can be badass. And like I know Until Dawn, the people that are huge fans of the game, like I've never really played the game, so I don't know, but like the fans are saying that from the trailer, like it's changing a lot of it, and they're not thrilled about the way it looks in the trailer and all that. But at least for me, as someone who doesn't know a ton about the game, it looks like a really cool movie. And I think no matter what, we've seen when it's done right what it can look like with The Last of Us. Like The Last of Us is basically doing beat for beat the game, but it's still making amazing TV. And like, it's funny that Fallout is another one that I think is doing a damn good job. And it's funny that series seem to be what are doing the best at the video game adaptation. But I still think that movies can too when they're done. You know, I think there's still potential there. Felicia, okay, last question. And it's from Felicia and says, do you think that your reaction videos might get more traction now that you have a larger loyal audience? No, because the thing with a reaction video is they're all about things that are going viral. So anytime you are talking about or touching on a subject that is all of a sudden super big, like if you were someone that doing a reaction the day that the trailer for 28 Years Later came out, like everybody was doing reaction videos at that because that was something that was super viral in that moment. But the problem is there is so much competition because everybody, even the tiniest little channels, are trying to do that it, by the time it trickles down to you or whatever, it doesn't do much for you. And so that's why I've learned that the best thing is to just find your niche, find what you're good at, find what people seem to like the most and what the algorithm pushes, and then just do that thing. And don't try to break, because you can't do everything. Pick the things that you're good at and stick with those things. And so my whole thing is I'm still always trying to do things that are really in the same lane for the most part, but try to find how I can be creative in that, how I can continually come up with creative, interesting ideas, but are still basically in that lane. And I just saw that Makano 46 just became a channel member. Thank you so much and welcome to the crew. I appreciate you so much. All right. Quick last question from Kevin Kruger. And this is definitely the last. And he asked, what is your favorite Rob Zombie movie? His best, I think, is The Devil's Rejects. My favorite, for sure, is A House of a Thousand Corpses. I love the style. I love the look of it. Just the creativeness. It's bonkers. He is a really new filmmaker, has never really done it before. And so there's plenty of mistakes and whatever. But that to me just is what also adds charm to it. And then also a huge part of it is when I saw it and I was beyond excited to see it. I was a huge Rob Zombie music fan. Like at the time, Rob Zombie was just going out on a solo career, I believe, but was a huge White Zombie fan. So I was just through the moon excited. And I remember seeing the trailer for House of a Thousand Corpses. And then it was like a couple years later when the movie finally came out, it was this whole wild situation where he ended up having to buy back the movie and find a different distributor and all of that. But yeah, I mean, I love that movie. I think it's just so much fun. But I think Devil's Rejects, without question, is his best made movie. So anyway, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for your time and hanging out with me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday and a great week. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.